I got my original Switch in around 2017 or so. While the Switch Lite was interesting when it came out, I didn't really have a use for a Switch that can't be docked, though my collector urges were acting up and I was contemplating just, adding one to my collection. The OLED Switch, on the other hand, is a bit more appealing. Sure, there's nothing improved about the docked experience, my preferred way of playing, but it's better in handheld mode. It has obviously a nicer screen because it's OLED, not to mention it's a bit bigger. Battery life is better, especially considering my Switch being a launch spec model, so that makes handheld mode for me a little more bearable and comfortable, and hopefully it should help me get in some more gaming time in order to clear out my backlog. That's how I justified my purchase anyway, not to mention now that it's on YouTube, it's also tax deductible. Plus I had my eyes on the Splatoon edition, which I thought had some really cool stuff going on in terms of design. Let's take a look at the box, which itself is actually really good. It's quite attractive in terms of its design work. You get to see the product right in front of you, or well, it's kind of down, but it's obvious there with its special design. And then of course there's the Splatoon artwork, making it obviously a special edition in that regard. The sides are also clean and uncluttered, with one of them showing what sort of things come inside the box. The back has a bunch of pictures of the Switch in various angles. It's a bit of a shame that these are usually kept locked behind glass and you never see this angle until you buy it, or watch this video I suppose. The box is openable once you undo the flap. The entire face folds backwards, which is a bit of a scary sentence out of context. It's quite well laid out with everything easy to take out. In terms of how everything is kept in place, it's Cardboardius Maximus in here, but the good thing is a lot of annoying practices in terms of packaging are not in here. So it's all easy to remove, and it's just some plastic and, these foamy bits here that keep things from being scuffed or whatever. I personally don't need the HDMI cable or AC adapter. They're the same as on the normal Switch, so I'll just reuse what I have. A cool little detail I found out, which I didn't know first, was that the wrist straps for the Joy-Con have the colors matching the actual Joy-Con there. So that's pretty cool. I'm also going to leave the Joy-Con grip in here, I'll just reuse the one from the old one. Let's take a look at this Switch a bit more, and also the dock, because, it's they're designed in tandem, I suppose. I really like the design. The sticker-bombed skate look from Splatoon is pretty cool, and I think it's been translated well here. The Joy-Con are also pretty obviously unique, and instead of being one color, there actually are multiple things going on here. Like there's a gradient between two colors, with also that a varnish there again to highlight some sort of design. The back of the controllers are actually gray and a little bit see-through-ish, and they have whitish inkling and octoling marks. The back of the console has a varnish sticker bomb look going on too. The dock is great. It's got the same design going on, except this time it is white, and I do like that they chose the white dock for this one because I think it just kind of works together. The design on the front and back is very well done. And I also really like this neon yellow ink splat. It doesn't glow in the dark or anything, but it's so bright that it's even visible in a dark room, like it stands out. It has a LAN port in the back there, replacing a USB port on the regular Switch dock. There's still two USB ports on the side though, so I don't think that matters too much whether, they eliminated a USB port or not. The docks are interchangeable, by the way, so yeah, it doesn't matter if you throw an OLED Switch on a normal dock and vice versa. It all fits and it all works. The console feels more or less the same when you hold it like a regular Switch. There's probably weight difference, but I don't care. But it's the same physical size, which makes sense because, of course, it fitting in the dock and also the Joy-Con being interchangeable and all that. The buttons and places you insert things are basically in the same spots. The biggest difference is the stand. Now that's a big improvement. Instead of that tiny stick-like thing, you've got a stand that spans the entire width of the system. And it works very well and is very sturdy. The quality of the OLED screen also helps with handheld enjoyment, of course it does. Unfortunately, you can't see from the recording how good it is. There are two settings, by the way, which are normal and vivid. I'm not sure yet, but I may post my experience with transferring data over from my old Switch to the new OLED Switch. I ended up recording footage that could be the opposite of a guide on how to transfer data from one Switch to another. I did educate myself about the process beforehand, but I wanted to see what would happen if I did things a little bit differently, because I want to keep my old Switch as a secondary unit. But long story short, I should have just done it what every guide in the world says, because The way I did it meant that I had to transfer every single save game one at a time in 2 different ways. Most I could download from the cloud, but I had to start each download individually, whatever. But then with the save games that can't be saved to the cloud, like, Pokemon games, for example, I had to do a slightly annoying transfer process where you had to initiate the transfer on one and then initiate the receiving of the transfer on the other one. And it's just like, oh, geez. And you had to do it one by one. And then there was the Animal Crossing thing, which it's actually fine. People are just like, oh, how do you do it? It's just an app, and then you just say, this is the source, this is the target, and then it does the transfer. But anyway, in the end, none of that was actually hard. It was just a bit more time consuming. I just took a detour, I suppose. A path seldom traveled. Anyway, that's my new OLED Switch. I really like it. It's just a nice thing to have in terms of, collection purposes, and it's definitely a very good upgrade if you have a Switch Lite. People with regular Switches may want to upgrade to the OLED model. I thought it was worth it, even though I much prefer playing games on like monitors and TVs. But the nicer and bigger screen plus the extra battery life means that I'll play a bit more in handheld mode than before. Kind of depends what I'm doing. If it's like repetitive grindy stuff, then, handheld, I don't mind. But yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.